I've heard from previous internship goers that they weren't really given a lot to do. For the first 2 days of mine, my internship was pretty much exactly like that. It wasn't to the fault of the of Parkway or the Institute of Western Surgery, but it was because that there wasn't a lot of things a medical facility could give a 17-year-old high school student to do. For my internship, I had the privilege to work with the the Parkway Health Clinic through the Institute of Western Surgery. Throughout the 2 weeks there, I would work with three renowned doctors, Dr. Ed Sutherland and Dr. Derek Redfield, who were orthopedic surgeons, and Oscar, who was a physical therapist with a patient for 90s music. During the first 2 days, I was with Oscar, the physiotherapist, for purely observational purposes. But because physiotherapy was very hands on and my qualifications were basically nil, I didn't have a lot to do. All I did pretty much was ask questions when the patients were there and ask even more after they left. I did learn a lot this way. He taught me a lot about biology, anatomy, and physiology, but I felt like I wasn't really doing anything. And I wanted to do more. So eventually, I just asked. I asked my supervisor, and I soon became in charge of the patients for all three of the doctors. I was in charge of finding the patients, bringing them to the doctor, talking with them until the doctors were ready to see them, and filling out the referral form if they weren't if this was their first time here. And I soon found that their stories were just as interesting as the doctors who helped them, if not more. I met a guy from Norway who had broken his elbow on his first trip to Shanghai while biking on the streets. I met a man from Malaysia who had broken his foot. I met a woman who had fractured her ribs, and a husband who worked at U of M and NYU Shanghai respectively. And I met a plethora of families from SAS, BIS, Dulwich, and Concordia. I was able to follow these patients into the doctor's office and stay with them during the doctor's visit if they felt comfortable with me being there. And then I continued my purely observational work. So I still felt like I wasn't doing anything. So once again, I asked my supervisor what else I could do. And what happened next pretty much defined my internship and what I might actually be able to do in the future. On the third day, I went to visit Dr. Sutherland, who was consulting with a patient who had sprained his wrist. Apparently, he had fallen on it a week prior, but because it didn't hurt so much, all he did was put it on a sling and rested it for the entire week. But when it still hurt, he eventually had to come to the doctor. An x-ray revealed that he had a radiodistal fracture, which is right here for those of you who don't know. And since he hadn't gone to the doctor immediately, it had healed over. They would have to re-break it. So they told the man to get on the table, lie on his back. Dr. Sutherland asked if I usually get queasy, and at the time I thought it was because they were going to break his arm and they didn't want me to pass out on them or something. And I said no because I wanted to be tough and I actually wanted to see them break his wrist. But then the doctor says good, and he beckons me over and he points to the man's arm, in which if I had not seen the X-ray, I would have thought was completely normal. And then he shows me the part where the fracture showed up in the X-ray, and he said, "Okay, Mackenzie, I'm gonna press up, and you're gonna press down, and we're gonna break this man's arm." And so I had the doctor looking at me, my supervisor looking at me, and the patient is a wide-eyed as a fish looking at me. And he doesn't speak very good English, but I'm pretty sure he saw the intern label on my jacket. And the doctor's still looking at me, and he repeats himself, and tells me to break his arm, and he asks if I can do it, and I'm like, okay, because I don't want to say no and back out. But the patient hasn't said anything at this point either. But he doesn't speak really good English, so I can kind of figure out if he even knows what's going on. He's not on any anesthesia or any drugs, any painkillers or anything. And I'm half wondering if they're gonna come in and put a towel in his mouth to stop him from screaming. But I still don't want to back up, and everybody's just waiting, seeing what I'm gonna do. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I did do it. And I was saying sorry the entire time in my head. And to the man's credit, he didn't scream or move, but you could hear the crack and it didn't sound pretty. Anyways, after that, I got a whole lot more responsibilities, such as taking the patients to the X-ray, helping cut casts off, and retrieving medicine from the pharmacy. So if I were to take one thing from this experience in this 2 weeks internship, it's that you have to ask questions and you have to ask what you can do. You basically have to take initiative, and taking initiative will shape your own experience. If you take initiative, anything is possible, literally anything. even breaking a man's arm. So thank you.